Welcome to Platform Studios again. With me is Professor Ndubuisi Ekekwe. Prof, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you for an excellent delivery on the platform today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's good to be in the platform.
Excellent. Prof, very quickly, we'll just have a few minutes, and I'd like to just touch on a few things specifically. You know, for someone who's such a prolific writer, prolific online presence, inventor, so many things, the long list of things that you've accomplished in such a short time, if I say by looking at you. You said something that I thought actually summed up everything at first when you said that education is critical to the success of any nation. Would you just tell us, how did you come to that given all your sojourns?
So largely, I would say largely that every opportunity is waiting for somebody to actually come for it. But most times, everyone can see the same opportunity, but it requires someone who has capability to actually go for that. So if I see here that having a robot can help me do this job very, very efficiently, it could be identified, but it requires someone who has the capacity to actually build a robot to now explore that opportunity. And how do you acquire that capability? How do you accumulate that capability? It requires going through a process where someone that knows it very, very well can actually help you acquire that capability. So if you go across different nations of our nation, there are so many things we want to do. Unfortunately, we don't have the capability to do those things. And that is where education comes into play.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you two questions in the short time that we have. The first one is that do you think that there's a place where fear is what is holding us back, less than the knowledge of the fact that we need to drive education?
Yeah, I think both of them are interrelated. Education is not just having certificates. The word education within the context is actually having capability, accumulating capability to do something. So I believe vividly that Nigerians are very, very entrepreneurial. If they have the capacity, they will go for those opportunities. But the fact remains that if we don't have the ability, how are we going to explore that? If we allow the oil exploration companies to leave Nigeria, Nigeria will cease to become an oil-producing country.
So is it fear that is holding us back in your view, or what?
It's not just fear. It's just like the ecosystem has not actually prepared people to take advantages of the opportunities that are available. So when you say fear, I don't understand the context what you mean by fear, because we are really very pragmatic people. We don't fear anything.
So why don't we just do it?
Because we don't have the capacity to do it.
So where do we start from?
That's where somebody has to teach you how to prepare you for that.
So who's going to teach us?
And that is where the educational system is needed.
But it's broken.
That's why we need it has to be fixed. And I'm saying that it doesn't have to be government. Government needs to reform the tax system where companies can actually inject money into the public sector education, and then through that capital, they will have resources to have the best possible educational system.
And this takes me to my last question, all right? Because you did make that point extensively, and you summed it up when you said that we cannot wait for government, that the promises of government is actually the taxes of the private sector.
Absolutely.
All right. So at this point in time, would it be fair to summarize your position and your advice to say, look, private sector participants need to actively just go out and do what they have to do while continuing to engage government to improve the environment under which this happens?
Yeah, so of course the private sector cannot necessarily go in isolation without government, because government provides environment and the framework upon which private sector will work. The thesis I'm making here is this, that we need government to do this job, but we cannot necessarily wait for government, because government needs resources to do this job. And if the private sector is not providing resources, government cannot have any capacity to do it. If you look at NIDA, the funding of NIDA comes from the from the IT telecommunication industry profit. If you look at ITF, Industrial Training Fund, Industrial Training Fund funding comes from the payroll taxes companies pay. In other words, without the private sector, we will not have NIDA, we will not have ITF. So my point is this, companies need to start just like the way we started Nollywood. And now government can come to provide the ecosystem to drive sustainability and order. But we cannot just continuously say that unless government has done its job, that we cannot begin. That is the point I'm making. It doesn't mean that government doesn't have to do its job. But government cannot necessarily do much in this country because it doesn't have the resources.
Prof, thank you so much.
Thank
you so much. Thank you for coming to the platform.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
The Platform. is powered by Covenant Christian Center.